All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everybody to the Campus Suite Academy. Today's presentation is on how schools can use Instagram to tell your school story with photos. Today's presenters will be myself, Jay Cooper. I'm the director of the Campus Suite Academy. I'm also a former public relations specialist with a large school district, and I'm also the marketing director for Campus Suite, where we make websites for schools. And then my co-presenter today is Steve Williams. He's the vice president of marketing and co-founder of Campus Suite, websites for schools. And he brings to the presentation a tech-savvy passion for design. And he's going to run through some great tools and some best practices for managing Instagram. A little background on Campus Suite. We're in Cincinnati. We've been helping K through 12 schools since 2000. And we also have this nice little thing called the Campus Suite Academy, which is our commitment to give back to education. Our mission is to share knowledge with educators to help them stay current and improve outcomes. And that includes webinars. In the past, we've covered topics like social media in schools. Is your school ready for a mobile app? Making the most of Twitter in your schools, and Google Apps for Education, to name a few. We've got some future topics in the hopper, so stick with the Campus Suite Academy to get everything, or at least some things you need to know about staying current with web technology. First off, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We know your time is precious, and to keep up with Campus Suite Academy, you can always check out our blog. You can subscribe to it if you like. And if you're in the social media way, you can even tweet about us after you've attended the presentation or during the presentation. A reminder that today's webinar is being recorded for your viewing convenience in the event you should miss a couple of points that we're making. We also have this presentation available, will be available in the slide deck, so you can gather up all the information we're presenting today. Some housekeeping items real quick. The Q&A, we do have questions. We encourage questions anytime throughout today's presentation for those participating in the live portion, obviously. You can submit a question at any time, and we'll handle as many as we can get to, but we can't get to them until the end of the presentation to keep the flow going. So submit your questions. Like for those of you tuning in after the live presentation, obviously you can contact Campus Suite at any time if you have any questions about today's presentation. We will also answer all questions in a follow-up email if we don't get to them during today's presentation. Also, for sticking around for today's webinar, you'll get a certificate of completion at the end of the seminar if you complete a post-webinar survey. We'll email that to you, and it's personalized with your name on it. Also, you will get a free guide, access to a free guide that you can download at campussuite.com/Instagram. Just go there and you can learn. This is a robust guide that's published by the Campus Suite Academy that you can use to help set up and manage Instagram at your school. Okay, let's dive in here. This presentation, by the way, is on the heels of a webinar we did recently on how to use Twitter for school communication. And those are the two top hot social medias going these days. And the goal of today's webinar is simply to show you how to start using it for your school or district and how to incorporate that into your total communication strategy, which is important. Schools can use Instagram as a positive force to get some really good messages out about their school and extend their reach. We'll help you stay up with the technology and show you some best practices. And for the newbie, show you how to get it off the ground. For the more advanced user, some of the tools and best practices might help you perfect using Instagram. Today's presentation will be divided into the following segments. First off, Instagram fundamentals. Secondly, setting up and optimizing your profile, creating great posts, how to build a following, and then making the most of Instagram. All right, let's start off with a survey. We're going to ask, again, for the live participants, does your school use Instagram? Using the window, the webinar window to the right, just click yes or no. Does your school have an official Instagram account? Okay, this doesn't include maybe some rogue classroom teachers, but does your school have an official Instagram account? It could be a superintendent, principal, the district level. And let's see, the results are coming. There we go. We've got overwhelming percent no. We've got about 1/4 of you do have an official Instagram account, and I guess somebody doesn't know either. That's interesting. So that's good to know. So hopefully you learned something from today's presentation. All right, the next question now, do any of your teachers have Instagram classroom accounts that you know of? And maybe several of them do, maybe just a few of them do. One or two, or you know for sure that they don't, or perhaps you don't know. So, all right, let's see what we got coming in here. Many of you don't know. Interesting. 30, about 30% no. So, interesting enough, news for you: if a classroom account is technically an official school account because it's associated with your school. Nothing to scare you off, but it's important that maybe you understand and find out what your teachers are doing with their Instagram accounts in their classroom. Most of them obviously are doing it very positive force to engage their parents. Okay, let's start off with the fundamentals of Instagram. First off, it is the fastest growing social media channel. It's perfect for your demographic, the younger students, and your students and your younger staff, and some of your mobile savvy parents. It's a mobile only app, and just for a usage standpoint, to put it in perspective, Wall Street Journal's Elizabeth Holmes just reported earlier this month that worldwide there are over 300 million monthly active users, posting 70 million images and videos a day. In the U.S., there are 80 million users. Important thing, Instagram is not a news feed. Rather, it's a photo and video clip sharing medium. Okay, it's not Twitter. It's not pumping news out. It's simply a way to share pictures and videos. And it's really a reflection of this culture of photocentric messaging I refer to. It's really the undercurrent of not only just social media, but mainstream media as well. You think about images rule. You yourself might have a Facebook account. See how you yourself use that. You're thumbing through it, looking at pictures. That's pretty much the beauty of Instagram. Fact is that images rule, and another beauty of Instagram is its simplicity. It's just real easy to use. So why post? Well, if individuals are telling stories and pictures, your school should be telling stories and pictures as well. It's a very impactful way to capture moments and depict your school. It's really a hip and current way to connect. You're connecting with the students. They're using it. If you've got a middle school on up, you have to be at least 13 to have an account. But junior high and high school students, they all have Instagram accounts. And if a school comes up with one and you start connecting with them via that medium, that's just a real hip and current way to be connecting. And they'll appreciate that. And that'll come back to you in spades. And then obviously it's a way to extend the reach of your school content. So who are you engaging? Internally, you've got the students, staff, faculty, and board members. That's kind of your internal group. Secondly, you've got your external group, and that's media, parents, and the rest of the school community. That could be taxpayers, potential employees. And the media is really the first adopters to social media. So you want to make sure you're getting your message out. They can be a real benefit and a partner in helping spread the message about your school. Instagram also falls lockstep with the social media initiatives that the National School Public Relations Association is putting out there in terms like one clear voice, emphasizing your district's core values, and creating a key communicators network. That would be your superintendents and principals and other school leaders and your teachers. And then building level and localizing through personalizing the school experience and collaborating with the community. This all, again, is consistent with what the PR Association is telling you should be doing. So who's going to manage the program? All right, speaking from experience, I know that you're just throwing another tool at the PR director or the communications person or whoever the designated communications person at your school or district is. But it's just, we're throwing another instrument that you have to play. And I'm well aware of the shrinking resources. We're all aware of the shrinking resources that schools are faced with these days. And we know you're juggling a lot already. But we have the answer for you, and that's put a team together. And this is very important. It really speaks to the very social nature of Instagram and all the other social media for that matter. Share the burden, and it's really not a burden. It should be viewed as an opportunity. View it as an opportunity. There are teachers and other staff within your school. Maybe reach out to some social media savvy colleagues. If you're still lucky enough to have an art teacher or a photography instructor at your school, these folks are natural partners in the Instagram cause. Also look at places like your school yearbook staff. Here's a group of communicators that already, this is a ready-made bunch of people that can really help accelerate the use of Instagram at your school because they're out there gathering content. Clubs and extracurricular groups. Students, again, they're the ones most familiar with using Instagram. So call upon the club leaders and supervisors to start sharing content on Instagram. And then we recommend this, and we do this ourselves with our own organization, a college intern. Social media jobs are among the fastest growing and hottest right now. So what you should do is see if there's a local community college or local college where you can tap somebody looking for some real good hands-on experience in social media. Just a high-level look at how to find and distribute social. This is kind of the prescription for social media success. First off, you got to find and create the content, or in many cases, you're curating content. You're finding content that others are creating, and you're attaching it to your school message. Building a following is the next major step, and then most importantly, responding and interacting. That's the social component. You want to create that dialogue and take advantage of that engagement. All right, some types of content to share. First off, there's a rule of thumb in general social media. There's three major types of content you should be pumping out there and sharing: ideas, school news, and human interest. However, with Instagram, it's really you're focusing on the human interest and the school news. That's really critical because by putting this kind of information out, this is the kind of stuff that lends itself to photography and short video clips, human interest and school news. And really the sky's the limit. There's really no limit to the kinds of posts that will either directly or indirectly promote your school. They can be about news, events, or any human interest pertaining to your school. And we'll go around the horn here, things like events, clubs, behind the scenes stuff. We're big on behind the scenes stuff, and if that's the kind of content that draws me in personally, is the stuff going on behind the scenes of the images in my personal Instagram account. Success stories, the warm and fuzzy stuff, obviously sports and other activities, achievements, the goofy stuff, the humorous stuff, and hard news and extracurricular stuff. So this is the kinds of content that you can be using Instagram for. And I've boiled it down to the 3 R's, no longer reading, writing, arithmetic, right? It's if your content, anything to do with recognizing events or individuals, recording an event, it could be planned or unplanned. It could be that moment of staff and student engaging or parents engaging, capturing spirit. Record those events with your smartphone, and you've got instant instant content for your Instagram. And then reveal things about your school, your staff, behind the scenes kind of stuff. Again, don't be afraid to use humor or show the playful side of your school or district. And so right now we're going to turn it over to Steve, and he's going to show you how to set up and optimize your Instagram profile.
Hey, thanks, Jay. And what I'm going to be covering is how to set it up initially, and we're going to discuss different ways you can configure your Instagram. So first, let's talk about the basic Instagram setup. And if you joined us for a webinar on Twitter, it's pretty much the same thing. And this is a way to get your feet wet initially. And it's where you're going to set up one main Instagram account for the school district and utilize hashtags to segment the individual schools. In addition to the school hashtags, you can set up hashtag themes, what we like to call ways to express ideas and concepts of the school. For example, maybe you have a support issue too. Maybe it's Go Cats, your team is going to the state finals for football. You're going to utilize all of these, and it's very important that all of your followers, along with your school community, understand these hashtags as well. The next we're going to discuss is advanced. And this is where you can set up individual profiles for the schools and power users. For example, your school district's going to have a main account, but maybe the superintendent has their own account along with the individual schools. You are still going to utilize the individual hashtag themes as well. So the hashtag themes are going to be what stitches all of the activity together, along with it's going to create interactivity among your followers. Next, we're going to talk about the Instagram profile. And keep in mind, Instagram is an app, and it's really designed for individuals and users. However, businesses, organizations are embracing Instagram as well and leveraging a lot of the good things it provides. So when you set up an Instagram profile, this is important because this is what people are going to see when they click your name if they see a post. And first, the username. And keep in mind, we recommend that the username also follows what you have set up for Twitter and perhaps Facebook and YouTube. Real simple name. Most time it's going to be displayed in all caps. So we like to recommend keeping it short as possible. Maybe use initials as well, or anything you utilize for your other accounts. Next is the profile pic. We understand that you may not be a designer yourself or have access to designers, but we really recommend something nice here. If you have a symbol, mascot, or something that symbolizes the school district or schools, put time and energy in creating a nice little pic. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 180 by 180 pixels to be technical. If you don't have a nice symbol, you can utilize a photo, which works well also. Keep in mind, when this is on the timeline of Instagram, it's going to be cropped in a little circle. So you may want to look at it and see how it works on your actual timeline. Next, we're going to talk about the bio. Keep it short, sweet. I believe you can add up to 150 characters. We like to recommend conveying perhaps the mission, vision of the school, or the result of the education. Last is the URL. And once again, it's important to have a good website that's mobile friendly to handle any type of engagement directly from your Instagram account. So I'm going to hand it off to Jay. He's going to talk about creating some great posts.
Okay, now that you know how to set it up, what kinds of stuff should you be putting out there? And I had to borrow from one of the social media experts out there, Josh Constein from TechCrunch. I found this quote is particularly motivating for me, and I think you'll get some inspiration from it. Here's his take on it. Instagram is the most vivid way to let someone feel like they're standing right beside you, no matter how far away they are. If Facebook is the heart, and this kind of puts it in perspective, if Facebook is the heart and Twitter is the head, then Instagram is the eyes. And the eyes are the window to the soul. And I feel that's particularly important to grasp, that Instagram has a very specific use for telling your school story. Okay, we're going to show you some actual posts from schools out there, and certainly you're welcome to borrow these ideas. Here's one. Notice any kind of event, and whether it's before the event itself, before the event, or even after the event. Here's a preview of a school that's holding a school play, obviously, and they want to get it out there. Check your school calendar. Any kind of you've probably got dozens of events every week going on at your school that you could post about. So check your own school calendar and take some pictures to promote or the event itself, or even after the event. Build a story to depict your school moments. We talk about reveal. Here's a simple band practice going on at a school. You know, it can be any kind of practice, basketball practice, debate club, whatever going on at your school. You know, reveal something. Show some insight into what's going on at your school. Any kind of meeting, a board meeting at your school. You could have a very interested board member making a presentation, or simply listening at a board meeting. These are all moments that reveal something about your school. Recognition is more than just recognizing people, but something as important as a levy or as an event going on at your school. You know, capture moments while they're happening. You know, here's again, this behind the scenes. You've got, I guess, somebody putting makeup on and somebody performing. Again, before, during, and after they happen, people like to see what's going on. You can also here's a school that's using Instagram to promote other social media, and they've combined a nice, tidy little, our friends down at Auburn City Schools have combined other social media channels and just post this out occasionally, just trying to gin up the social media involvement that their school uses. And of course, the ever popular selfie photo. You can't deny the selfie. I personally don't subscribe to. I don't do any selfies. I don't think Steve does either. But it's kind of a generational thing. But that's the whole point of this. Because it is a generational thing. That's what the young kids are doing. So embrace that, and maybe have your superintendent, your principal, your teacher start doing selfies, and you're doing these things to connect. Here's a case I want to point out. Notice the red purple tones there. That's not your monitor. That's a filter that apparently they ran. Whoever took this photo ran it through, and that's another option that the user can customize their photos, and Steve will go through some of that later. It's not necessarily personally my cup of tea, but they've run it through a filter, and even if it's out of focus, that's fine. It's all genuine, it's all authentic, and that's what Instagram's about. I personally love this kind of stuff. It's that artistic side that's exercised. It can get a little corny sometimes, but why not? It's a great way to have show your creative side and kind of exercise the right side of your brain. So that's just another way. Here's an example of a teacher poking fun at himself, combining humor and instruction in a tiny, again, 15-second video. And this is pretty cool. He's demonstrating how to graph, and he's poking fun at himself, doing the nerd math teacher thing, I guess, with the glasses and the pocket protector. But if there was a whole lot of comments and feedback from students in the class, and he also took advantage of the 15 seconds to demonstrate a key teaching moment. So great use of Instagram. And I wanted to point out too that it doesn't have to be serious all the time. Here's a guy that obviously took the teacher that took the time to combine a serious message and do it in a humorous way. And of course, students and staff engaging in a spirited rally. What a great way. If this photo weren't posted by a communications department, shame on that person, because this is so great. I mean, this is really a choice picture that I personally love. It really captures a school moment. I want that guy to be my principal. I want to be part of that rally, whatever it is. I want to be one of those kids in there that's getting fired up about whatever it is, a sporting event or who knows what. But this is a great kind of engagement that you want to portray on Instagram. And of course, achievements. That's really the bottom line of the school is getting students their diplomas and having them make the most of their high school education. So here's a it doesn't get any warmer and fuzzier than this. School is such a social environment. I want to make this point. School is such a social environment that really Instagram is the perfect medium for that. You've got obviously so much time is spent learning and in the classroom, but you got to use Instagram to capture some of the social aspects of your school, and it really is the perfect medium to do that. So all this posting is designed to create engagement and engagement opportunities. How do we do that? The bread and butter is the comments and likes that you can do when you're on Instagram. You want to be able to follow others. That's the best way to actually not only see what others are doing, but build your own following. You want to like others' videos and comments, and it gives you the opportunity to do that by pushing that little heart button. And then again, if you wish your followers base to grow, you need to follow others and become part of the community. Steve will talk about that a little bit more and how to build your following coming up. I also want to add that for added convenience on monitoring, Instagram does offer a desktop version. Even though it is a mobile app, it does offer a desktop version, which enables you to view your Instagram account for convenience. And it's a good start for monitoring your Instagram activity. So follow, comment, and like as much as you can. Or sometimes you have to deal with the dislike. And I wanted to address this, handling the negative posts. As with any social media, the possibility exists that somebody's going to take it upon himself to get negative in one way or another. Maybe you're tagged in somebody else's post and you don't want to be, or there's some harassment going on. There's a stray comment on your wall that needs to be addressed. Maybe you need to delete a post or block a repeated problem user. Hopefully they're not out there. These issues, by the way, tend to be self-policing, but occasionally you're going to have to deal with it directly. And they all can be handled within the Instagram app itself. But what it does take, it's not automatic because it takes diligence on the part of the school to monitor the activity. In order to nip it in the bud, you got to first know that it exists. So the only thing worse than negative comments or activity related to your account is ignoring them. All right, if you neglect them or ignore them, they might fester and ultimately reflect poorly on your school. So in most cases, in just about every case, you want to handle them offline. Okay, you want to find out what the issue is, and certainly you don't want to escalate it in the channel. You don't want to fuel the negativity. So just to wrap up this section here, remember the 3 R's of Instagram. You got to anything that deals with recognition and recording and revealing. And I want to point out, I got an email the other day from a teacher in Wisconsin with the Watertown School District, Rachel, and she's dealing with preschoolers and kindergartners. And I asked her how she's using Instagram. And she says she uses it to reach parents to bring them into the classroom. I'm quoting directly from her. And what she does is she posts pictures of curriculum lessons and activities for core subject areas. And she says she wants to demonstrate that their school is no longer a paper pencil type of system. And so she'll post a picture with a link to a YouTube video because the video parameters in Instagram are only 15 seconds. And that way they link to the longer version and they can see what's going on in the school. And it's a great way, she says, for parents and other family members to follow. So just one example of how one teacher is extending her reach and showing that glimpse into the soul and character of her school.
All right, we're going to talk about building a following, and I'm going to be adding to some of the things Jay was talking about regarding interacting with the actual community. So, building a following, I wish I could say it was easy to do, and basically you promote a link on your website and you gain a bunch of followers, but it's a little more difficult than that, and you really have to become part of the community. You have to engage, you have to comment, like, and really respond to your community. This is going to generate activity, and you're going to actually be exposed through other channels. So the key here is creating an Instagram account is not just setting up a profile and putting a link on your website, but actually being active. And it maybe dedicate 10 minutes a day along with Twitter and Facebook as well. It all starts with following others. This first and foremost, you really need to identify who some of the faculty and staff members of the school. Make sure you follow those people along with they will follow you. In addition to that, there's opportunity to follow many local community resources and organizations as well. You can even follow some of the media sources. And the benefit here is they're likely to follow you. So finding others in the actual app is very easy. You can search users, hashtags, and basically it's very simple, just like Twitter. You click a follow button and they will you will then see all of their activities show up in your timeline. Next, we're going to talk about adding badges. So as Jay mentioned, there is a browser base that you can access through your computer for Instagram. And it's basically instagram.com/your username. You will be able to log in and go to your account settings and generate the code you can drop in on your website. Hopefully your website makes it easy and you can drop the code in, feature it on the homepage, footers, or we like to also add it with all of the other social media icons that may already exist. Don't be bashful, feature it right on the homepage. The key here is letting people know it exists and basically touch it and add it to every digital channel, including email and other forms of communication. Also, outside of the website and digital communication, post signage everywhere. If you have a high school or middle school, half the kids could have Instagram accounts. So just posting a sign in the hallway could gain a lot of followers. And we really love to see the actual engagement with the students. You're communicating at their level and their style. Also, you can share your content or images and videos from Instagram directly to other social media channels. I'm a big stickler about really customizing your content specific to the social media channels. So I'm not real crazy about this feature. However, there is an exception to the rule. And keep in mind, these share settings, while you set them up on your default app, you have to specify for each post if you want to share with your Facebook and Twitter and other social media profiles. So imagine if you have something that you don't have time to share with Facebook and Twitter, which is optimized for that channel. You can easily post an image and it'll automatically show up in Facebook and Twitter and other channels. Keep in mind, it looks kind of awkward based on the cropping, depending on what you use. It looks fine on mobile apps, but if you log into Facebook or Twitter on your computer, just the square cropping, it looks kind of awkward. The last thing we're going to discuss is using hashtags, and this is probably one of the most important aspects of utilizing and building a following. And hashtags, as I mentioned, becoming part of the community and participating, well, there's no better way than hashtags. Just like Twitter utilizes hashtags, Instagram is exactly the same. So, as I mentioned before, in the initial setup, you have the basic and you have the advanced. Both of those settings are going to utilize hashtag themes, and this is where you can be specific to your schools and various ideas and concepts and taglines, whatever that may be. But your followers will also jump on these tags as well. So this is a great way to build a following because Instagram is going to allow you to view all the hashtag images. Imagine if you had something for Summit Schools, you click that, you can see all the activity. So you will gain exposure through hashtags. So let's talk about making the most of Instagram. And this is where I'm going to get into some of the features on the actual app. We're going to talk about some third-party products that could streamline stuff. In terms of the individual apps you can add to your phone, I'm going to just be skimming the surface here. We're not really endorsing any particular app. However, we'll mention some of the popular ones. I just want to preface this by saying there are several different apps, and there's pros and cons about each one. And if you do a quick search on your app store, you can download, kick the tires. Everything we're displaying today is free to inexpensive. So majority of everything we're showing is going to be free. So first, we're going to talk about management tools. And this is going to be pertinent of how you manage it from the top down. In addition to that, we're going to be talking about some tools that will also give you a single consolidated view of all your social media profiles. If you've attended any of our other webinars, you're going to hear us talk a lot about Hootsuite. There's also Buffer, and Hootsuite and Buffer are social media scheduling and messaging software that you subscribe to. Hootsuite has a free version up to 5 profiles. It basically allows you to put everything under a single roof. And for Twitter and Facebook, you can get a little extension that you add to like Chrome. And if you land on a page you want to share, you click it, and it provides you the ability to share that individual link or content without being logged into Facebook and Twitter. So this will streamline how you promote content through social media. And you can also schedule content as well. Well, how Instagram works with Hootsuite is you can basically see your Instagram feed of all the activity, and you can interact and comment, like photos as well. So this could be beneficial if you want a consolidated view. You want to view Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram side by side. You can do so. So it eliminates the need of logging into all these separate programs. The next management software we're going to talk about is Iconosquare, and this is a website you log into, and they have a free version. The gimmick here is they want you to pay for a plan, which will allow you to conduct contests and such. This is the only dedicated Instagram management system I'm aware of. There is a couple other out there, but this will basically provide you the ability to view everything that you have access to on your Instagram app, and you can also see statistics and stuff like that. It'll help you search and find other potential followers, and you can also do some basic management. I want to also remind you, Instagram has a nice web-based access that you can go to at Instagram.com, and it shares a lot of similar functionality that Iconosquare does. So next, we're going to talk about managing multiple accounts. So as Jay mentioned before, you're going to build a team. Well, there's one big problem, is those team members probably have an individual account or a personal account for Instagram. So the Instagram app by default only supports a single account. So the only way to achieve building a team if they have their own accounts is they have to log out and log in. Well, Instagram is very spontaneous, so you're not going to have time to do that, and it also creates a lot of headaches. Well, here's a sample app, and if you look at management tools for Instagram, you're going to see several. We're going to talk about Photogram for Instagram, and basically it's an app that has very similar functionality as the native default Instagram app. With the exception, you have the ability to set up several accounts. So just by clicking a button, you can switch to different accounts and manage that account, and also participate with photos and such. These are essential if you're going to build a team. So next thing we're going to talk about is reposting or regramming. And this is really important because this allows you to share a lot of great stuff out there. The only way to achieve this kind of functionality without an app is taking screenshots on your phone and re-uploading and cropping. Well, they have apps for this. And basically, just like Twitter retweeting something, you're going to repost an individual photo. So this particular app, it's an iPhone app. It's called Repost for Instagram. And it lets you see your followers and people you're following and the ability to repost those images. The next thing we're going to talk about is photo enhancement. And what I'm going to be discussing is the features that are included in the Instagram app. And this is probably the funnest part of Instagram because what it does bring to the table is it turns all of us amateur photographers into professional because of its ability to enhance the image. By default, it adds a lot of filters, which makes stuff look a lot more professional. However, they provide several different filters and editing features. And I want to preface this that everybody loves Instagram because of its authenticity. And there recently was a study on high school students. They don't even apply filters. They like the real deal. So use the filters in moderation. However, I do want to mention if it helps convey that moment or supports that feeling of that image you're trying to convey, apply some filters. It's really fun and it's really neat. I just wouldn't get all crazy with borders and this and that. Try to keep stuff real. All of this happens once you add the image, and you can always revert back so you can play around with images without committing to this and posting it. You can have a preview of all of these effects. Next thing we're going to talk about is some basic editing features. And imagine if you took a photo, it's a little dark, you can adjust contrast, brighten it up, you can crop, you can, one of my favorite things to do is they have a linear like blur filter or radial blur, and it allows you to add a focus to an individual part of a photo. Imagine if you had a face in the center and you wanted to blur out the sides. It's real easy to do, and you just kind of pinch and expand and tighten the actual blur area, and it's one of my favorite. So in addition to some of those colorized filters, you have the ability to adjust the image and many different options there. Next thing we're going to talk about is watermarking. And I'm not advocating this. I just want to talk about some options here that may be viable for supporting your brand. Watermarking is typically something that you set up to indicate ownership, and maybe it's copyright date or specifies the time or of the actual photo. But you can also use watermarking to drop in a little symbol or icon that represents your brand. So there's apps out there, and I'll use a quick example. I know the social media director of University of Florida, and they drop a little gator on all their photos as well. So this would be kind of neat, but keep in mind, not really advocating this. This is not a necessity, but it's a nice little option if you have some type of symbol you want to share on the images. And one last thing, Jay just hit me up because this is something that he shared within some of the samples, is I don't have a slide for this, but I think it's important to share, is there is apps out there that actually allow you to create collage. As he had that build of the kids actually before and after the play. Well, those are little collage apps that you can download, so you could take 5 images and make a little collage. So that's a nice feature as well. Well, now it's time for Q&A. I'm going to hand it to Jay to address some of these questions.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that collage function, because it really affords the opportunity to tell the story. Okay, some questions, boy. We got a bunch of them here, and again, we'll get to a few, as we're kind of don't want to keep you too long here. And the ones we do not get to on the broadcast, we will follow up with an email. Here's one. How often should we post Instagram photos? Good question. Simply as often as you can, as often as really you can. You read blog articles from experts. They say 3 times a day or whatever, but it really depends on really the content you have to deliver. Again, I'm a firm believer that I know from personal experience, there's a lot going on at your school that's worthy of just taking some pictures and sharing. The more the merrier. One piece of advice, however, is don't overdo it. Don't overdo a particular piece of subject matter. For example, I saw one school had recently, they had 12 photos of a board meeting. 1 or 2 is fine, and move on to something. So mix up your subject matter, but keep it coming. Keep it coming. And the weekends, fine. Post on the weekends. That's when a lot of people have more time to look at their phones anyway. So keep the content coming. There's really no maximum or minimum amount.
Yeah, just to add to that, unlike Twitter and Facebook, if you attended some of our webinars when we discuss scheduling and frequency, Instagram is a fun little app, and it's less of sharing, information and of others, but telling the story of your school. So the key there is just make sure you have good images, and there is no rule. Just do your best.
Steve, you got a question there?
Yes. Are hashtags unique to each school and individual? Well, the individuals are going to have their own handle, and it's set up just like Twitter with the @ symbol and their username. So you really don't need a hashtag for the individuals. However, depending on your setup, the hashtags will be unique to schools. And keep in mind, when you use something like pound Mother's Day, that's a general hashtag, and you're going to be grouped with potentially millions of photos. However, if you do something pound your individual school, or perhaps it's some type of event at your school that's unique, that's going to be unique to your school. And that's why it's important when you build up the community, you're going to engage and interact, and they have to recognize and see some of these hashtags as well. More people that participate in your unique hashtags, the more successful and you're going to be at extending your reach.
Yeah, and then when you have those hashtags created, obviously you're going to want to promote those earmarked hashtags to create a following on that particular subject matter. Here's another question. We are a K-8 school. What precautions should we take in posting images of little children on social media? Well, actually, this is a great question with privacy issues. And, one, in order to have an Instagram account, you have to be 13 or over. And there's good reason for that. They don't want careless use of this medium by children. There is acceptable use guidelines that your school should have in place. There's also model release forms that every communications director and PR director, and certainly superintendents at schools, should be very well aware of. And there are blanket model release forms that you can have your students' parents sign. there's really there's no reason why you can't post pictures of small children or teenage children on Instagram. They just have to get the approval. And most schools have a blanket model release program in place. Our guide, our Instagram guide that you can download, and we'll have that URL up here shortly again for you in just a minute. That guide includes a great example of an acceptable use guideline web page, actually, that a teacher in Chicago put together, a communications director in Chicago put together. It's a great form that basically creates a sign-off on the part of the participant in any social media that the school's doing. And it's a super example that you can use and you can see in our guide, as well as the blanket model release solution. Steve, you got another question there?
Well, we have time for one more, and I am thinking about using Instagram to show students new books that have arrived in our library media center. Thoughts? Love it. I think it's great. More power to you in terms of sharing that kind of stuff. Just to add to that, you may want to consider a hashtag, set up New Books Friday or something like that. But that's a great example of utilizing Instagram for engagement. And there's a endless opportunity to be creative with Instagram. There really is no rules in terms of what kind of content you put. Just tell a story and be unique. And also keep an eye on what's getting the most likes and comments and post more of that.
Okay, thanks. And again, we got a lot more questions here. We'll do our best to respond individually and personally to those via follow-up email as our time permits. Reminder, your free guide that I referenced, you can learn how to use Instagram more specifically, lots of examples in there, and everything that was reviewed today in today's webinar, as well as a lot more, can be found at campussuite.com/Instagram. Download it now. Also, for those of you who participated in the program, a certificate of completion will be coming your way. Just complete the post-webinar survey, and we'll email you the certificate. For those of you not in the live broadcast, just let us know you participated after the download of the guide. We'll see what we can do. And then upcoming webinars, security for schools' websites is a big issue. So how to plan for a DDoS attack, and then mastering Facebook, another webinar topic coming your way soon. And a reminder, if you liked what you saw today, even if you didn't, you just want to comment or tweet about it, do that right now. We can be found at Campus Suite CMS, that's 2 S's, Campus Suite CMS, and follow us on Twitter. And again, thanks for attending. You can stay in touch with us through a variety of ways. I mentioned our Twitter account. We also have a great blog that has all kinds of content that you subscribe to, and check us out at campussuite.com. Thanks for attending. So long, everybody.